Welcome to Adults Only Comedy Berlin. Today it's just me, and this is an episode that's kind of been requested of me, which is kind of funny. But it's also to announce a couple of things and to just ruminate on some topics as well. But the request was to do an episode about Backdoor Comedy Festival. I don't know if people ask me this tongue in cheek, but whatever. So Backdoor Comedy Festival was an event that I ran on the 13th of January, and it was a 6-hour-long stand-up comedy event from 6 p.m. till midnight with 2 different stages, and there was comedy nonstop. And there was also a separate room where there was always not comedy happening. And people wanted to know how I put it together. There was one guy there who sadly we couldn't let come back in because he wanted to beat up someone. But he also wanted to run an event like what I was putting on in Leipzig, which is cool. So yeah, I'm very happy to share what it is to put on the event and how the event went. If you came, thank you so much. All the comedians that were on were just, I love you guys. I love you guys. It was such a smooth and surprisingly joyous event. It shouldn't be surprising, but I was quite nervous about it. It was an undertaking I hadn't done before. Christoph Schmid and I had the idea together back when we had use of Belushi's to run the Berlin Festivus, which was an end-of-year comedy festival with 3 different stages. We wanted to have the main stage, a toilet stage, a storeroom stage, and also actually a green room stage. So it was 4 stages, and the little stages were going to be like these weird kooky things, and things would be running at the same time. And it turned out that we couldn't run that event because good old Belushi's. Yeah, it's okay. They didn't really like us running events there that much, I guess, but they were like, oh no, it's the World Cup. Of course you don't have those dates. But there wasn't any communication about it. And we actually set up the event, and then it was needing to be cancelled about, I don't know, I think it was like 2 weeks before it happened or whatever. And I was quite devastated back in 2022. I think it was the end of 2022. And so, yeah, it was the idea that Christoph and I had, but then end of last year, so end of 2023, the owner of Myśliwska, my Tuesday venue for Backdoor Comedy, he mentioned that he'd like to do some kind of festival or an event, and I was like, oh ho ho! And it's not quite, it's a tiny space compared to what Belushi's was. So I was like, I'm going to run this by myself, and I'm going to use this as a way to also promote Backdoor Comedy. Because that's been running for a while, and it has weeks where it's packed, but it does have quite a few weeks where it's, a good 5 audience members, 10, and that 10 is great. But it would be nice for it to just get up a little bit more because I do have a really solid lineup, and it's always such a nice vibe in there. So I thought, the comedy festival, call it Backdoor Comedy Festival, because I've also put that on Google Maps, blah, blah, blah. So if you are running a venue, if you're a producer and you're running a venue, if you can actually kind of like geotag, apparently Google's supposed to send out a letter for the venue to confirm that they are Backdoor Comedy. But that hasn't happened yet, and it's still discoverable on Google Maps, and I'm getting updates that people are searching and using Google Maps to find the club. Or find Myśliwska, find Backdoor Comedy. So anyway, I was like, let's name it after the night that I do, and also it's very vibe appropriate, I think. And then in order to put it together, it was the owners suggesting it, and then us kind of working out, okay, let's do these 2 stages, let's do back to back. So the small room that we can actually close off and have separate from the bar and any kind of interruptions, we ran 30-minute sets in there. So in reality, most of them were about 25 minutes, but some comics got a good 27 minutes in the back room for their sets. So that was very cool. And so on the hour, every hour was the back room set, and we had the likes of Catnip and Dan Stern and Gory B and Tara Kilbride and Freddie Grale and Palya gracing that backroom stage. And then after that set would finish, then I keep saying we, I don't know, I would direct everyone out of the back room and bring everyone into the front room, which is the main bar area. And because that's a little bit more chaotic, the plan was, and what we did was 2 short sets by different comedians and me hosting in between. So after I would introduce the comedian in the back room, that would go for half an hour, that would come to the half hour, then we'd all move out, and then I'd do a little bit of hosting. Then I'd bring up the next comedian who would do 8 minutes. Then I'd bring up the next comedian who would do another 8 minutes. And then we'd go back to the back room. So my planning wasn't amazing because it turned out that I really only performed 7 minutes every hour, but that's for 6 hours. And then there was the go-betweens, and then there was me timing each comedian and lighting them, and sort of moving, directing the audience. I was also doing the door when the bar owner couldn't do it. So so in terms of like logistics, once the venue owner was like, let's do this, I put together a spreadsheet. I contacted all the comedians that that came to mind that I wanted to invite on. A lot of people weren't available or just didn't get back to me in time. Put the spreadsheet together, put the timetable up, and then went about designing the event posters for Instagram as well as for the street posters. The venue put up posters along Schlesische Straße, which was cool. And then I just did, stories. I ran an ad, which didn't perform very well. Finally went back onto Facebook, guys, for all my Facebook hate. It is sadly the only way you can like get good metrics for measuring your advertising across Instagram and be discoverable on Facebook, even though I don't really want to be on Facebook at all. But basically just ran Instagram ads through Meta Business Suite. And so the new profile is under Glory Hole Comedy, because that label that I've got, it doesn't have a venue. It's not a show at the moment. So I've just co-opted Glory Hole as my marketing brand name. Again, feels relevant. And so ended up being that we pre-sold 33 tickets. On the door, we got like another 22 plus tickets. And then like a few friends of comedians, friends of mine came in as well. And I was really scared that we weren't going to have any audience for the first show because we started at 6. So doors were at 5:30, sorry. And, or 5 actually. I was there at 4:45. And it got to 6 p.m. and we only had 2 audience members. And then it was 3. And then by 6:05, I asked Kat, who was the first performer, like, how many audience members do you need to perform? And she was like 4. And then by 6:10, another 2 arrived. It was like, bingo! And so, like, I herded everyone into the back room, all 5 people. And I did a very quick intro. I didn't want to eat into Kat's time because I did want to stay on schedule. And so, brought her up, and she got, a solid 20 minutes in there, which was great. And then a few more people arrived once she'd started. And then once she was finished and we had the first 2 acts in the front room, Ben McLean and Faye Walsh, there was already like double the number, and it just kept growing and growing. And so by 9 p.m, the front room was packed, and so was the back room for the back room 30-minute sets. So some comics said that they had, one of the best sets of their career. A lot of the audience were just so pumped up and really overjoyed sounds like a negative, but doesn't it? Overjoyed. But anyway, overjoyed. They were just like, wow, do you do this every week? I'm like, are you insane? But you're going to do it again. And, I will definitely do it again. I think, I love bringing comics together and people together. And I love the bar and the vibe there. So I think I'll definitely do it again. I managed to pay all the comics, which was great. Not a huge amount because the tickets were only €15. And it's like a whole pass for the whole day, which, I think is good. But I think with the quality of the comedy that was provided, I think 20 wouldn't be unreasonable. And I also think that running 6 till midnight is a bit insane. So it could be something that runs from 6 till maybe 10 or 6 till 11 max. But probably 6 till 10 would be a really solid. It's still 4 hours of comedy, and €20 would be very reasonable, and we could still pack it in. And it means at 10:30, we finish it up, and the DJs start playing, which they did as well after the festival, which was a lot of fun. So. Oh, it was such a good night. But yeah, with only €15 tickets and the capacity of the venue, like I wasn't able to pay the comics a huge amount, but it was like €40 each for the back room sets, and then 13 for the front room sets. But yeah, €40 for 25 minutes. Yeah, it's not that bad given the capacity, and 13 for the 8-minute sets. But hopefully with a bit of a tighter lineup next time, shorter time span, and slightly higher ticket cost, I'll be able to pay people more. And also next time I will definitely save a spot for me. I think I'd either open the show or close it, open the festival or close it. Maybe opening it would be the most logical. And that way I get in a good amount of stage time. But I wasn't upset or resentful in any way. I just wanted it to run smoothly, and it did, and on time, and the feedback was wonderful. So again, a huge shout out to everyone who was a part of it. Thanks so much for the support, and not creating difficulties, and bringing all your wonderful energy. So. I say not creating difficulties because lineups, if any producers are listening, lineups can be a bit of a nightmare with people swapping, and I put it out pretty clearly to everyone. Don't make this hard for me. It's already a lot. So people were very respectful of that, and I appreciate that consideration. So yeah, that's the Backdoor Comedy Festival. I think I'll do the next one. Well, let's see when we feel like it, and that'll be in collaboration, obviously, with the venue. But cool stuff. I think it was the hardest thing I've ever done. My sense of time was so good after that. After managing 6 hours nonstop of keeping time of everything that was on stage and lighting people. The next day, on the Sunday, chilling out with my partner, he came along, and he was really impressed, and was really happy to hear me kind of process it all, and and he was very congratulatory and really, really sweet, because it was a lot, and of course I had the help of the bar owner doing the door and being there, but yeah, in terms of the running of it, it was kind of just me behind the holding the reins there, and so the next day I was like, I want to go out for dinner. I want to be served, and I want to go to a movie, and I just want to chill. And so we did that. But in doing that, my timing was insane. To go to he found a movie for us. And so with that movie time, it was 9:15 movie. And I was like, why don't we go to this Italian restaurant? And it was like, okay, so then maybe we should get there at 8 or 8:15 so that we can then be out by 9 and then walk to the cinema. And so, okay, the bus comes at 8:04. All right, we need to leave the apartment at 10 to 8. And then it was just the fact that I hit everything and hit it would just, I don't know. I feel like I've reached this new level of mechanical timekeeping. Subconsciously, it's in my system, so that's weird. Now, the other stuff that I aforementioned, I foreshadowed even, was about this podcast. So you may or may not have noticed that certain episodes have been removed from public viewing, public access. I have done this because after what year is it? It's 2024. I started this at the end of 2020. Shit, man. That's 3. Well, we're at the start. So it's a solid 1, 2, 3. Solid 3 years. I really had to do the math there. A solid 3 years of podcasting and with everything that's happened in my personal life because of this podcast. Big shout out, losing my relationship with my father because he won't talk to me because of what I've mentioned on the podcast about my childhood. Also, like, I've definitely, I also, okay, so there's that. Also knowing that just anyone can listen to this stuff, and I'm 100% honest on here. And I don't know, I don't know what it is, but, well, I do know, of course I know what it is, but like, maybe a way to explain it, I feel like on Instagram you can post stuff. Okay, this is a very weird way to explain this, but like, I feel like YouTube is a really good way of demonstrating it's such a quick example of how content creators are vulnerable to the viewers. I feel like I post things on Instagram, and you know, people just, if people don't like it, typically they just don't watch it. Whereas on YouTube, somehow if people don't like it, they comment, or if people think they have something interesting to say about a female comic or your face or whatever, they will write it. Now, I bring this up because I've very rarely been offended by responses to my content on Instagram. And on my podcast, it seems like, well, there's no one really reaches out to comment on it, but I do get these sort of trickle down effects of where I hear that a friend of a friend listened to it, or this person listened to it, and that's cool. It's public, and I make this for a reason, and I'm honest like this for many reasons, and it's mainly to let other people know that, you know, they're not alone in their feelings, and that, you know, I'm not ashamed of my experiences. However, exposing myself to people, and yeah, when it's really really vulnerable stuff, I realized I don't want just anybody to be able to have access to that. I think if you want to have access to that, you need to want to support me. And it's not about money, but sadly that's kind of the way support is most easily demonstrated. So yeah, it's not that I have all these haters out there, and it's not that I want to exclude people, but I do put some very personal stuff out on this podcast. You know, when I'm performing on stage, it's also very personal, but it's my choice to release any of that footage. But in the moment when it's live, you know, I can say whatever I want. It's live, it's not being recorded, and it's just in people's memories. But when it's recorded and it can be taken and it can be used for other purposes, yeah, I don't want just anybody to be able to hear my deeply, deeply private stuff. Now, I'm still going to be uploading episodes where it's where I don't feel like I expose myself too much. I'm going to keep uploading those, but I have removed the episodes that I do feel expose me quite a bit. And if you want to listen to those, they will be behind a paywall. Now, it's a very small paywall, but the idea is, you know, if you want to support me, you want to hear that stuff, then throwing a few euro my way per month doesn't seem that crazy. I've been talking about this for years now. So I looked at the options on the podcasting platform that I use, and I could monetize and create like a patron program through Podbean for just like an extra 300 euro a year. Can you believe that? Anyway, all good. What I've realized I will do instead is, I have mentioned it before, the app Sunroom. I'm launching my profile on Sunroom, where I will be sharing content for members. There'll be, you know, the not safe for Instagram clips. They will be maybe some longer format videos, as well as all the video footage from all the podcasts will be available through there, and also the audio and video of the podcasts that I feel are too personal to be just giving out for free. So So yeah, I'm excited to do that, and I hope some of you will be interested in supporting me in that. If you belong to the set of people who listen to me and don't particularly like me. It sounds so paranoid and insane, but I mainly say this because I really believe, some of the people that have listened to my podcast, I really think they only listened to the parts that they felt would be, worth then creating dramas from. And the point is, I've talked about it before, I don't expose other people's stories. It's about my story. If you're part of my life, you know that you're part of my life, and it will come up, but I don't name names unless you are. Parents are something a bit different, and otherwise it'll usually be an ex or my current partner, which but even my current partner, I'm not going to be identifying details to him. If you know him, you know him. Cool. But I'm not exposing people. And when I expose myself, then deeply in a way that can be maybe used against me, or I just feel it's a bit more vulnerable and shouldn't just be given away to people who maybe don't like me, then here is this paywall. Okay, I think I've been talking around in circles with that, but it's there's a lot of emotions there, and and speaking of a lot of emotions, just want to put it out there, huge January hugs to everyone. I had a huge dip into depression last week, and I'm okay, but I'm really needing to be very conscious of my thought patterns, and trying to sort of reintegrate some Buddhist practices, and just really staying present and being conscious of just how great it is simply to be alive. These kinds of things. It's messed up because everything in my life is going so, like, on paper and intellectually and emotionally. Really, everything in my life is so wonderful, and I'm so grateful, and I'm happy. But I dipped very hard, and it was very hard for me to get out of that headspace. And it was a solid 48 hours, but it's still kind of lingering, and to the point where I'm very happy that I already have a therapist, but where I may go to a psychiatrist just to see if there's not a little bit of extra help that could just balance me out a little bit. So just want to send out my sympathies if anyone else has been going through a tough patch. Maybe it's just me, but I doubt it. There's something about January that always kind of starts crushing me, at least, even if I feel like, I'm doing all the right things, I'm taking vitamin D, and I'm doing exercise, and I'm staying in contact with, people that support me, and who, and I'm supporting others, and all of these things. I'm still doing everything I love, but still something about January always. I don't want to say always, because that's also not helpful, but I really thought I was going to get away with that without having one of these patches this year because of my situation. But also, there's another element, since my partner moved in with me, that also, like what is it? Treasures? No, it kind of having this very new dynamic for me that I had many times for many years in my 20s, but it's the first time that I've lived with a partner in 8 years. And so I think that's as wonderful as it is. It also brings up a lot of insecurities, and so I'm doing a lot of work here, and I am feeling very supported with him. And man, Gen Z, fucking awesome, mate. So okay with emotions and supportive of that. And man, I'm starting to feel my generational what's the word, like, yeah, just the anachronisms of my generation as well. Like I still feel like my generation, as much as being born in the 80s, whatever that makes me, and whatever experience I've had now and whatever I've been exposed to, I definitely am a lot more connected to that generation of, you know, showing vulnerability as weakness. And even though I actively practice against that, it's still hard work, fighting through, you know, whatever your parents have kind of inadvertently passed on to you, and whatever society's done to you as well. So yeah, really looking forward to some more sunshine, really. but I'm, you know, I'm doing the work, and I hope you're doing all right doing the work, and doing the work of just being with your feelings, and being okay with it, and and looking after yourself. So cool. I think I'm gonna wrap up there. I've been doing some winter cleaning, and I did actually stumble across my egg freezing contract, which I was going to. Wow, I'm already talking about it like it's not going to happen, but I finally read the contract for freezing my eggs today, and isn't it okay? And there's this one clause that says, if I die, the clinic will destroy my eggs, regardless of any contract or written agreement otherwise. I thought that was really interesting. And weirdly, I don't know why, but weirdly that turns me off, the idea of freezing my eggs, because I'm like, because what if that was kind of one of the things I was like, oh, well, if I die, that means like, you know, my eggs, my is that narcissistic or what? Like, part of the attractiveness was, okay, freezing my eggs. If I die, then you know, maybe I can leave them to my mum or whatever. Not for her to but as in like to look after, and then, you know, maybe to donate or to sell them at least. Because I just feel like, what if I don't use them? What if I don't use my eggs that I freeze? And then also, and what if I die and then it's all for nothing? And also looking at the costs in this contract, it is not, like, I knew it wasn't cheap. And I've been offered by a few different really lovely, supportive people in my life. They've offered to loan me the money. And I'm not expecting anyone to give me the money, don't get me wrong, but a loan is very generous, but it's still a lot of money. And it's still like, what was it? It's like a good $1,000 to $2,000 for the medicine. And then for the actual removal of the eggs, it's $2,800. $2,800 for the removal, and hopefully you only have to do that once, and then it's another $2,000. So you're looking at another $2,000 for the medication, the hormones that you inject. So that's $4,800, right? And then it's another, and each additional 12-month storage period costs €300, €290. It's a lot of, it's just so much money, and I'm really not sure about it. So anyway, that was just a thought I had today, and just the whole, they'll destroy your eggs if you die. It's like, wow, is that connected to some like fear of cloning or something? Like, but it's your eggs, so it's not. I don't get that. Yeah, I'm gonna be looking into that a bit more. Like, there's nothing you can do. It's clearly in the contract, but I'll be looking into it more as in why it bothers me. But anyway. All right, guys. This has been fun. It's been lovely talking to myself in my kitchen, as always, with you. I will be releasing, I'm pretty sure, the next episode, I think I will be releasing through Sunroom. But the one after that, maybe, will be through the usual avenues. So check out the Sunroom profile. I'm populating it in the next few days, and yeah, peace, love, care, gentleness. That's been Adults Only Comedy Berlin. Thank you so much, and goodbye.